It all began on a day like any other. On the morning of September 15th, 2025, the sky shattered. We didn't see it coming. There were no warnings, no signs. No one could have prepared for the moment when they descended from the sky. The aliens arrived in massive black ships, unlike anything we had ever seen. They hovered over the world's largest cities, New York, Beijing, Moscow, Paris, frozen in time as panic spread through the streets below. In the blink of an eye, the Earth's greatest civilizations were reduced to rubble. It wasn't just an invasion, it was a massacre. The invaders didn't just attack, they destroyed. Buildings turned to dust, the air filled with smoke, and the cities we had once built, with our pride, were wiped out in seconds. We fought back, but we were outmatched. As cities crumbled, we rallied. Our military forces launched everything they had, airstrikes, rockets, tanks, everything in our arsenal. But it was futile. The alien ships, immune to our weapons, obliterated our forces with precision. They didn't just invade our land, they crushed our will to fight. In the chaos, governments fell, communication lines were severed, and the world plunged into chaos. People hid in basements, underground bunkers, and forests hoping to survive the madness. I remember standing in the ruins of what was once a thriving city, looking up at the black ships above. My heart sank. The humanity I knew was dying, and there was nothing we could do to stop it. The world we once knew was gone. By the time the alien ships left, we thought the worst was over. But the damage was irreversible. Cities lay in ruins, and nature began to reclaim the land. Our environment was poisoned. The air was unbreathable. Food became scarce. The earth seemed to be dying. For weeks, we wandered through the wasteland, searching for any signs of life. But there was nothing. The invaders had wiped out our infrastructure, leaving us with nothing but the ashes of the world we once knew. We learned to live with the silence. The survivors were few, but we were determined to rebuild. We began scavenging for food, water, and supplies. We found solace in small pockets of humanity. The ones who still had the strength to keep going, some of us formed new communities, hidden away from the dangers of the outside world. Others sought to repair the broken pieces of the old world, trying to understand the alien technology left behind, hoping to use it to our advantage. But the days grew colder, the nights longer. We realized that rebuilding was not enough. The Earth had changed, and we had to change with it. We couldn't simply return to the way things were. Hope came from the stars, but it was a message we didn't want to hear. In 2027, we received a transmission. It wasn't from the aliens. It was from a scientist who had survived the initial attack. Her message was clear. The invaders had not come for conquest. They had come for something far worse. Earth was a breeding ground, a place where they harvested resources for their dying race. The message warned us that they would return. This was not over. The Earth was not their final destination. They would be back. That message haunted us for years, leaving a bitter sense of dread hanging over every moment of our survival. The world was still spinning, but life had stopped. Years passed and the Earth began to heal, but at a cost. The air grew cleaner and the plants began to grow again, but we could never forget what had happened. The ruins of our cities became graves for the past. People learned to live with the scars, but they could never outrun the memories. We focused on survival, on keeping the story of humanity alive. The children who were born into this world knew nothing of the old days, and they grew up in a world without the luxuries or comforts we once took for granted. They learned to be strong, to endure, to survive. From the ruins, something new tried to grow. In the years that followed, new generations emerged. They didn't know what it was like to live in a world full of noise and lights. For them, the silence was their constant companion. They were born into a world that was not theirs, a world that had been broken, but they carried the hope of rebuilding. The first children born after the invasion were different. They adapted to the harsh world quickly. Their bodies were tougher, more resilient. They learned to breathe the thin air and survive in the darkness. We taught them the stories, the memories of what we had lost. They were the future, and they carried the weight of our past. If this story survives, then so did we. By 2030, there was talk of rebuilding, of forming a new society from the ashes of the old. But it was clear that things would never be the same. The scars of the invasion would remain forever. We found new hope in the form of a message. One last transmission from the deep ocean, from a facility that had survived the initial onslaught. The voice of Dr. Mirahan echoed across the world, telling us that the aliens had not come to conquer us. They had come to save themselves. The Earth was a lost paradise to them, a planet they had used for their own survival. But humanity had something they lacked: memory, resilience, and the ability to rebuild. Dr. Han's final words gave us something we thought we had lost: hope. We fell, but we rose again. The years that followed were the hardest. The Earth was still scarred, still struggling to recover. But we, the survivors, continued to push forward. We rebuilt, not just our cities, but our hope. We started to dream again. Not of victory, but of survival. And in the end, that was enough. The Earth had changed, but we hadn't given up. We remembered the past, but we also carried the future. We told our children the stories of what had happened, of the war, of the destruction. But we also told them of the strength of the human spirit, of our ability to rise from the ashes. The aliens came, they destroyed, but they couldn't take away the most important part of us: our will to live. Our story is not finished. It is only beginning. I sit now, writing this for future generations, hoping that they will remember. Remember the Earth, remember the destruction, but also remember the resilience. Our world may be broken, but it is not beyond saving. We are not beyond saving. As I look out over the remnants of the old world, I see the spark of something new. Humanity will continue, one small step at a time. We have endured, and we will endure again.